everyone, and welcome to the beautiful campus of Middle Tennessee State University for 100 Miles of Hate Week between Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky. Dylan Simmons, Evan Snyder, Brett Walker, and some rowdy friends joining us today for Blue Raider Extra Point. Let's not waste any more time and get right into the action with Evan Snyder as he takes us around the CUSA.
In this week's edition of Around the CUSA, we're looking at three teams, starting off with Florida International. Their season opener was against Indiana, which they dropped that game, but this one against Central Michigan, they looked to bounce back. Their defense stepped up huge, recording 5 interceptions on the game, along with 2 sacks to go along with it. Their defense the entire game would shut down Central Michigan, but Central Michigan wasn't able to get any offense going at all. Keon Jenkins was the highlight for the offense for FIU, passing for 124 yards, 2 passing TDs, and a rushing touchdown to go along with it. FIU takes on FAU this week. Last week, Liberty took on conference opponent New Mexico State, setting up a rematch of last season's conference championship game. However, in this game, Liberty's offense did start off a little slow, but their defense was able to make up for it, especially their D-line led by C.J. Basie Jr. And their defense as well was able to limit New Mexico State to only 130 yards of total offense in the second half. C.J. Basie Jr. and his fellow D-lineman also forced a fumble and also a stupid score for Basie Jr. to swing momentum in the favor of Liberty. The run game for Liberty got going with Quentin Cooley rushing for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Liberty looks to stay red hot playing UTEP. The last team we'll take a look at is Western Kentucky. After dropping their first game of the season, the Hilltoppers came out swinging against in-state opponent Eastern Kentucky. Not only was their offense electric, WK's defense held Eastern Kentucky to only 266 total yards of offense, with TJ Finley leading the way with the offense, recording his first passing touchdown as a Hilltopper. He also threw for 351 yards with that touchdown. Western Kentucky comes down to Murfreesboro for the 100 Miles of Hate against MTSU.
All right, Evan, interesting to see what happened in CUSA in Week 2, FIU getting that big win, of course, Liberty escaping New Mexico State.
Yeah, I mean, that was the game to watch. Honestly, if you're watching CUSA matchups, it's a throwback to the conference championship last season between New Mexico State and Liberty. Really good game to watch. Basically back and forth the entire time, but Liberty's able to get the edge there at the end. The last team I do want to touch on is Jacksonville State. They went 9-4. They also made a bowl game, but the only CUSA team to win a bowl game last season. 0-2 in the season for them to start off. So they'll start off a little slow. Look for the Gamecocks to get back in action here and get back swinging here this week.
And on that topic, let's take a look at some of the CUSA matchups taking place this week. Take a look at your television screen right now, and we'll give you the full rundown of CUSA matchups. Some of those that we're going to be highlighting today: UTEP versus Liberty, FIU versus Florida Atlantic, and of course, Middle Tennessee taking on Western Kentucky right here at Johnny Red Floyd Stadium. All right, folks, we'll be right back with the scoop and scouting report right here on Blue Raider Extra Point, so you better not go anywhere.
Since the Tennessee Lottery began 20 years ago, many students across Tennessee have benefited from the over $7 billion we've raised for education, to the tune of more than 2 million scholarships and grants. To those students across the volunteer state, we say congratulations. You've earned it. The Tennessee Lottery, celebrating 20 years of game-changing, life-changing fun.
Greatness starts with a strong tradition, powered by a fierce work ethic, a spirit of remarkable innovation, and unmatched leadership that spans generations. Find your greatness in a Ford F-Series truck, America's best-selling trucks, 46 years straight. Now get 3.9% for 60 months plus $22.50 bonus cash plus $1,000 trade assist on a 2023 F-150. Only at your local Ford dealer.
Window World is a local family business that proudly supports our community. We're your neighbors living in the towns you call home. We attend the same schools, local restaurants, and grocery stores. We proudly support our military, first responders, and St. Jude Children's Hospital. We're committed to providing training and jobs for the next generation. We're local professionals and craftsmen dedicated to creating curb appeal and energy savings, one local home at a time. We are Window World, supporting your community because it's our community.
Welcome back to Blue Raider Extra Point. We're here at the Party of the Grove. We got some friends here behind us here at the Grove as well. And welcome back here to Blue Raider Extra Point. We are going to look at our next package here, The Scoop, with Brett, who sat down with the news editor for the student newspaper over at Western Kentucky to get a little bit more of a look at this Hilltopper offense.
to this week's edition of The Scoop. I'm Brett Walker with Middle Tennessee News. I'm here with Jake McMahon, the sports editor of the College Heights Herald, the student newspaper at Western Kentucky. Jake, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, and thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Jake, the 100 Miles of Hate are coming up this week. Talk about the hype around campus as this yearly rivalry is about to be renewed.
Yeah, it's really exciting. You know, it has been since I've been here. This has been a really fun stretch to be a Western student.
Tell me a little bit about TJ Finley and what we can expect from him this Saturday.
I still would like him to be a lot more comfortable with the ball, because that's what Western is an air raid, sling it offense. You know, you touched on the MTSU runs ball. Western is completely different. You know, it's been like that with Bailey Zappi and Austin Reed, and any quarterback that Tyson Hilton has. It's an air raid and gun the ball downfield. And so yeah, I'm hoping to see him more comfortable, more composed, and able to connect on some big plays. Upton Stout, a DB, didn't play his best game against Alabama, but he can be a difference maker. Kylan Goodry, a linebacker, he led the team in tackles last year, and it started off well. And then I'd say Hosea Wheeler on that D line. He had a strip sack against Alabama that couldn't recover, but he made his difference felt in that game, and he has made his difference felt, and he was last year too. So I would say those three guys on the defensive side of the ball are really some guys to look out for.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jake. We'll see you next time on next week's edition of The Scoop.
I thank you for Brett for the scoop. It was interesting to see, the thing that I'm more interested about is how this air raid offense of Western Kentucky is going to fare up against the run-heavy Middle Tennessee offense, but we're going to take a look at that here a little bit later in the show. We're going to move on to Dylan. Dylan did an amazing job with the scouting report of getting a little more deep dive into this Western Kentucky team as a whole. Let's take a look at that.
It's 100 Miles of Hate Week in the Borough, and for the 2024 edition, the New Look Raiders are looking to put their losing ways against Western behind them. This year, the Raiders will have to be ready to rectify the mistakes that they have made in years past. When it comes to the Hilltoppers, that means limiting their offensive firepower and avoiding turnovers. Despite a rough start against Alabama to open the season, it seems as though TJ Finley has found a home in Bowling Green as the WKU quarterback. Against Eastern Kentucky, Finley had a day with 351 passing yards, a touchdown, and a 69.2 completion percentage. Finley already has years of starting experience under his belt from his time with the Auburn Tigers and Texas State Bobcats. Last season, Finley threw for 3,439 yards, 24 touchdowns, and added 5 touchdowns on the ground to boot. Middle is hoping that they will give Finley more of a Week 1 experience than Week 2. Another key aspect to WKU is their pass defense, which currently ranks at the top of CUSA. The Toppers are averaging 171 pass yards allowed per game, and limited Eastern Kentucky to only 76 yards through the air. With MTSU struggles against Ole Miss through the air in Week 2, they will have to make corrections quickly to avoid being shut down like a Windows laptop. With all of that considered, the one thing no one can account for is the emotion and drama of the moment. And in 100 Miles of Hate, that is a guarantee.
So we did talk about a little bit coming out of Brett's package there about this offense for Western Kentucky. Big air raid, TJ Finley, an absolute monster. He can sling the ball around, so I just want to get your little input on there for a second.
Yeah, it's going to come down to whether or not MTSU can shut down TJ Finley. Do you guys think MTSU can contain Western Kentucky?
That's a good optimism right there.
Well, I think the people have spoken, and they're excited. We're going to take a quick break, folks. When we come back, we will have the Blue Raider Spotlight and keys to succeed, so don't go anywhere right here on Blue Raider Extra Point.
Since the Tennessee Lottery began 20 years ago, many students across Tennessee have benefited from the over $7 billion we've raised for education, to the tune of more than 2 million scholarships and grants. To those students across the volunteer state, we say congratulations. You've earned it. The Tennessee Lottery, celebrating 20 years of game-changing, life-changing fun.
Greatness starts with a strong tradition, powered by a fierce work ethic. a spirit of remarkable innovation, and unmatched leadership that spans generations. Find your greatness in a Ford F-Series truck, America's best-selling trucks, 46 years straight. Now get 3.9% for 60 months plus $2,250 bonus cash plus $1,000 trade assist on a 2023 F-150. Only at your local Ford dealer.
Window World is a local family business that proudly supports our community. We're your neighbors living in the towns you call home. We attend the same schools, local restaurants, and grocery stores. We proudly support our military, first responders, and St. Jude Children's Hospital. We're committed to providing training and jobs for the next generation. We're local professionals and craftsmen dedicated to creating curb appeal and energy savings, one local home at a time. We are Window World, supporting your community because it's our community.
Since the Tennessee Lottery began 20 years ago, many students across Tennessee have benefited from the over $7 billion we've raised for education, to the tune of more than 2 million scholarships and grants. To those students across the volunteer state, we say congratulations. You've earned it. The Tennessee Lottery, celebrating 20 years of game-changing, life-changing.
Welcome back to Blue Raider Extra Point live from the campus at MTSU. This week on our spotlight, our very own Jacob Burgess sat down with head coach Derek Mason and quarterback Nick Vattiato to talk about some exciting new tech that's been introduced to college football. Let's take a look.
Teams like this are the common sight on a college football sideline. The big play calling boards are on the way out though with the new technological aspects of the game.
It's been great. It's been great. I think it just adds another level of communication for everyone. Definitely for Coach Reeder and myself, you know, that it just opens more doors for things that he can communicate to me. And it's been an experience so far, and we've kind of worked through some like troubleshooting issues. But I mean, it's been pretty smooth so far.
With new technology comes new problems. Here you can see one of the many that coaches and players are now facing in college football.
Yeah, I mean, just sometimes, you know, like third downs, like the stadium will get pretty loud. You just need a little bit of a clear, just sense of hearing from Coach Reeder. But I mean, throughout the game, it's been pretty smooth. You know, for our first game, first Tennessee Tech, and then on the road versus Ole Miss, you know, haven't had any issues. There might have been a couple times where I just couldn't hear that well. I had to look over to the sideline and get the signal from our guys signaling. But other than that, it's been pretty good.
Well, it gives you instantaneous feedback. You know, that's what we're looking for in the game of football, because a lot of times you can ask a player what he saw, and sometimes it's inaccurate. Now what you're able to do is not ask him what he saw. You can show him, okay, what it is in real time. And I think like that's important as you talk about games needing to be adjusted from series to series. That could be the difference between winning and losing. For the sake of the game, I think it's moving the game forward. So I like what I see. I like where we're at, and now what we got to. It's here to stay. You know, we're not putting the genie back in the bottle. So let's find a way to make it better.
Great stuff there from Jacob. You know, Evan. Yeah. That technology, they've had that in the NFL since 1994, but they're just now implementing it into college football.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time. I mean, you know, the NFL's had huge success with it, with the in-ear communications, gives that instant link between your quarterback or, you know, your linebacker or cornerback, whoever has it on the defensive side of the ball. It's a great way, you know, to talk to your guy on the field. And then Derek Mason hit it absolutely on the head with the tablets. Instantaneous feedback, as he said verbatim, about, you know, you come off a series, you get to sit down with your offense, be like, look, this is what happened. This is what we need to do differently, and I absolutely love it. And I think, you know, it's a big change for college football, and I think it's an amazing change for college football.
Yeah, it's a new era of college football, and with that comes change. I think it is time, and I'm glad to see it implemented in college football this season. But guys, it is now time for our keys to succeed for MTSU to defeat Western Kentucky. We will start with you, Mr. Evan Snyder. What do you have
so the
for
first
us?
one I have is stop the run game for Western Kentucky. They had 116 total yards of rushing across 3 different running backs, but that's not their threat. The threat is when they're inside the red zone and they're short of the goal line. That's where you need to stop these running backs. 3 times they hit pay dirt for 2 different running backs. Elijah Young, LG Sanders had one of those, and then the Young had the other one. I think you just got to stop that run game, especially in the red zone for the Blue Raiders. Second one, MTSU cannot let WKU convert on third down. Force those 3s and outs. I mean, Western Kentucky, 9 and 28 on their third down conversion. So it's absolutely horrible when you look at the grand scheme of things. And I think the secondary steps out huge. Stop that air raid and get stops early in the series. They'll be absolutely perfect. Lastly, the O-line. for MTSU needs to step up. Two main guys missing in their starters with Julian Pierce and also Jashawn Bradford also out as well. You have two guys that, they're moving around the offensive line a lot, and you got to look for those guys and the rest of the O-line starters to really step up huge to protect Vadiata.
And talking about that offensive line that you mentioned, there's so many injuries to that this week. So my first key would be to establish that run early, even with those offensive line injuries. When MTSU found success, it was early on against Tennessee Tech, in which they scored on their 3 opening possessions of the season, and since then it's been tough for them to replicate that success. And so I really would like to see them get hit the ground running, no pun intended, with the running backs.
I like that.
And secondly, I want them to hold on to the rock. They've had turnover struggles in the past 2 games, especially in the Ole Miss game, and it really just let them get away from the Ole Miss game get away from them. And then lastly is force Hilltopper turnovers.
100%.
MTSU has only forced 1 turnover all season via John House interception against Tennessee Tech. So if they're gonna have success against this high potent Hilltopper offense, then they're going to have to turn the ball over.
Yeah, 100%.
Like those keys, guys, let me add my own. For my first key to succeed, I've got St. Nick brings the gifts, and of course, I'm talking about the fearless quarterback for the Blue Raiders, Nick Vattiato. To me, he's going to have to be able to air the ball out consistently. It could very well be the difference between a Raiders win and a Raiders loss. 2 weeks ago against Tennessee Tech, he went 210 passing yards on a 20-for-35 split. A lot of that came in the first half. In order to beat Western, I think he's got to play consistently all the way through the game. Second point, rev up the rushing game. One of the biggest things that Middle's been trying to find this season is an explosive running game. With Frank Pison's injury, it's time for guys like Flip Cradle and Terry Wilkins to step up. I think we may need to see a 100-yard rusher in this game. Look for MTSU to find that. And lastly, dig deep. Guys, this is the game you wake up for, the game that you've got to have 110% for. MTSU needs to give everything they've got to defeat Western Kentucky and understand the stakes of the rivalry, and they'll come out on the other end with a victory. Those have been our keys to succeed. When we come back, we'll have everybody's favorite segments, the picks, along with a special Blue Raider superstar. So make sure to don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Blue Raider Extra Point.
Greatness starts with a strong tradition, powered by a fierce work ethic, a spirit of remarkable innovation, and unmatched leadership that spans generations. Find your greatness in a Ford F-Series truck, America's best-selling trucks, 46 years straight. Now get 3.9% for 60 months plus $2,250 bonus cash plus $1,000 trade assist on a 2023 F-150. Only at your local Ford dealer.
Window World is a local family business that proudly supports our community. We're your neighbors living in the towns you call home. We attend the same schools, local restaurants, and grocery stores. We proudly support our military, first responders, and St. Jude Children's Hospital. We're committed to providing training and jobs for the next generation. We're local professionals and craftsmen dedicated to creating curb appeal and energy savings, one local home at a time. We are Window World, supporting your community because it's our community.
Since its inception in 2004, the Tennessee Lottery has proudly provided funding for education programs throughout the state. Scholarships and grants, including the Hope Scholarship, Tennessee Promise, as well as technical school grants and more, have received over $7 billion in funding, and that's led to a great deal of change. The Tennessee Lottery, game-changing, life-changing fun.
What makes Murfreesboro so...
Welcome back to the hottest show in college sports, Blue Raider Extra Point. We are live on the Grove, and it's time for everybody's favorite segment. We're going to pick some Conference USA games, and we are pleased to be joined by Mr. Eston Snyder, star center fielder for the MTSU baseball team.
Thank you, Dylan. Glad to be here. Happy to be here with you guys today.
Yeah. Let's get down to brass tacks, guys. For our first game, we've got FIU taking on Florida Atlantic and Boca Raton. We'll start with Evan.
Yeah, I mean, FIU coming off an amazing game their last weekend out against Central Michigan, had an absolute burner of one. And, you know, FAU, not really too good. 0-2 to start their season. And, I mean, the Panthers look sharp, and especially if their quarterback stays on top of everything, I think they have no problem at all. Dale, give me the Panthers. Mr. Worldwide also supported them as well, so I got to go with the Panthers in this one.
Now, Evan, I got to disagree with you a little bit on this one. I really like what FIU has shown early, but I think I'm going to go with the FAU Owls this week, actually. They've started 0-2. They've had 2 losses, one by 6 points, one by 17. But I really like I think I like their chances to really step up their game as they go out through the rest of the season.
You know, I'm going to have to go with FIU in this game. They both played some good Big Ten foes their first week of the season. Both lost, but last week against Central Michigan, FIU just really showed what they can do, and I think that, you know, with one win under their belt, they're going to keep it rolling and put it to FIU in this game.
I got to hand it to FIU, guys. They looked really good against Central Michigan last week. In fact, I would go so far as to say it was their best overall performance in the last 2 years. Keon Jenkins was solid, and he's avoiding those self-inflicted mistakes and those turnovers, most importantly. And that defense, forcing 5 turnovers against the Chippewas, was a huge key to that win. I'm not too impressed with Florida Atlantic yet. Their quarterback, Cam Fletcher, he's been solid, but he's also thrown 3 interceptions through 2 games. That is not going to get the job done. I think FIU's got this one, and as Pitbull would say, they're going to be a fireball for today's game. FIU's going to eat barbecue. Give me the Panthers 35-16.
Dale.
All right, for our next game, we're going to do UTEP versus Liberty. Evan, what do you have?
I mean, it's Liberty. They're going against a cellar dweller of UTEP. Sorry to all the Miner fans out there.
Ouch.
But it's Liberty. You know, they won the conference last season. They went to a bowl game. They've been on absolute fire since joining the conference. And, I mean, they're 2-0 to start. I think, you know, they just sweep the Miners underneath the rug. Give me the Flames in this one. They stay red hot.
I completely agree with you, Evan. It's got to be the Flames, although I don't think they are as powerful as they have been in the past. I don't really like what UTEP's put up so far under their first-year head coach. Losing to an FCS team last week did not inspire me to pick them
not good.
Going into week 3.
It's not good bones.
I gotta agree. You know, I mean, it's Liberty, right? It's hard to go against them. Last week they started slow against New Mexico State, but I mean, you know, New Mexico State's a good team, and they still came out hot. They came out winning, looked like the team that, you know, won Conference USA last year and made the Fiesta Bowl. So I think with, you know, the run and pass game, how they can dual threat that, I think they're going to run away with this game. And like you said, Flames are hot.
What a rough week in El Paso. You lose to Southern Utah 27-24. You give up 40 points to Nebraska. Things are not looking good for the Miners right now, and you guys talked about it, but Liberty, as always, there in Fuego, the defending Conference USA champions. You've got Caden Salter, one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks, maybe the best dual-threat quarterback in Conference USA, and Quentin Cooley, already with 2 100-plus yard rushing performances this year. He's a stud. Liberty, going off that Fiesta Bowl appearance last year, Flames are going to win this one easily. Liberty takes this one home without really breaking a sweat. All right, next up, Sam Houston takes on Hawaii.
Give me the Rainbow Warriors in this one. I mean, Hawaii, they had a really close game against UCLA. Probably could have pulled that one out, but it came down to a field goal. And I mean, Hawaii looked absolutely amazing. Their quarterback threw over 260 yards, a couple touchdowns in there as well. I think, you know, Sam Houston's defense really hasn't had much to really offer throughout these couple years. Sure, they won a game against Rice, you know, for the first weekend, but I think Hawaii is this one. Give me the Rainbow Warriors. Shout out the Rainbow Warriors.
Now, Evan, I was also very impressed by Hawaii in that UCLA performance, but I'm going to go with Sam Houston this week, the Conference USA member Bearcats. I really like what Coach Casey Keeler has done there since they've made the move to Division I FBS, and I like they started last season off very poorly, and then they got hot at the end of the year. So I like them, even if they start out a little slow this year, I like them to get hot again.
You know, it sounds like I'm just following what Evan has to say. Maybe it's the last name, though spelled differently. I do think that Sam Houston's not going to be able to pull this one out. You know, they did win against Rice that first game, but I don't think Rice is the same team that they've been. And Hawaii, you know, they had a good game against UCLA. Yes, they lost, but UCLA is still a good program, and, you know, they kept it close. And I think they're going to run away with it because Sam Houston just doesn't have what it takes.
You know, if people didn't know any better, they may think that you two are brothers. Because Eston Snyder, Evan Snyder, I mean, there's something there, right?
Now, gotta be.
This one's tough for me because both teams have looked kind of inconsistent this year. You've got Sam Houston. They absolutely flatten Rice. Their quarterback comes out looking like the second coming of Steve Young with 229 passing yards, 57 rushing yards. And then they go and play UCF, and they just get bulldozed like a Best Buy store. I mean, they just don't have anything for UCF. Hawaii did play well against UCLA, but, of course, they're not the best Big Ten team in the world, so it's hard to gauge that. I do think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Rainbow Warriors get it done by a score of 37-34, but that's going to be a fun game in Huntsville. And, guys, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. As the Band Europe would say, it's the final countdown. Western Kentucky takes on Middle Tennessee right here in Murfreesboro. Evan, what do you have for us?
I mean, this is probably the most anticipated game on MTSU's schedule. 100 miles of hate, rivalry game, a lot of history between these two teams. If you look at the game itself, MTSU hasn't won a game against Western Kentucky since 2018. And also, too, WKU 37-35-1 against the Blue Raiders. So not really in the favor of MTSU in this one. But MTSU is 5-0 in the month of September at home, so we continue to look at that. But, I mean, With that being said, though, I hate to say it in front of all of our beautiful fans out here. I got to go with Western Kentucky in this one. I think they're absolutely just going to bring it to the Blue Raiders.
Wow. Can't believe you're
I know
making
it's a
that
home
call.
game, but I'm going to go Big Red on this one
Wow.
and go with the Hilltoppers.
Wow, I cannot believe that you would even consider that, Evan. But
what can I say?
I have to agree. I got to go Western Kentucky too.
Yeah.
I really like what Coach Mason has done so far, but I think they're still maybe a year or two out from competing with the Hilltoppers, and that's why I'm picking WKU today.
I agree with that.
I'm glad I'm disagreeing with Evan here. 5-0 in September at home. Why not make it 6-0? I think Derek Mason has a good thing going. Obviously last week against Ole Miss, that's going to happen. But this week, get his first of many wins against the red team. 100 miles of hate. Hopefully, we got a new team, so hopefully a lot of these transfers understand what it means. But I think that we're going to come out. Vadiato's going to throw. I don't think that Frank being hurt is going to be too bad. We're still going to be able to run the ball, and the defense is going to step it up today. And I think we're going to show red team what we got.
Yeah. Nice pick. See, this guy knows what he's talking about. I don't know what these two guys in the end are thinking about. True Raider traders over here.
Proud.
Raider traders.
Wait, this isn't a popularity contest.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hear what I have to say, guys. Listen. It's finally here. The moment has arrived. This is the one that everybody here in Murfreesboro, everybody in Conference USA has been waiting for. Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky, and these fans are eager to see. Can this team break the 6-year-long streak? It feels like it's been so long since Middle Tennessee was able to defeat Western Kentucky. But you know what? Coaches change, players change, eras change, and times change. And MTSU has changed as well. And today, in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, at Johnny Red Floyd Stadium, they are going to find a way to defeat the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. And all I got to say is, Devin, bring me the Swiffer. We're going to sweep out, clean out Western Kentucky, and the Blue Raiders will find a way to win 27-21. Can I get an MTSU? Ooh, beautiful stuff there, guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be an incredible game. But before we go, let's take a quick shout out to our social media team. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at MTN Sports. Check out all of our latest content. Got a lot of fun things coming for you guys. Before we go, Evan, a quick question for our guest picker here, Mr. Eston Snyder.
Yes, and of course, it's been great to watch you this past spring, but what has the team been doing? What have you been doing over the summer and this fall to, prepare for this spring semester coming up and for this new season of baseball?
I'm excited for the new season. We got a lot of new guys, a lot of new guys with, I'm the older guy, so been here with the coaches, with a couple of the guys for a long time, so hopefully I can show them the ropes. It started off slow so far this fall, but it's going to ramp up, and I'm getting excited to, meet a lot of new faces, see what they can do.
And especially with your summer, have you done anything, played in the collegiate league or do anything over the summer, or you just been relaxing a little bit?
I've played in the collegiate league past 2 summers. This summer just taken off, worked out by myself, worked on my game, which I think has really helped me, and hopefully it shows in the spring, in the fall, when we get going.
And the last question I do have for you, of course, for those people that don't know at home, and of course behind us, you also play with your brother, Grant Snyder, as well. How does it feel to, play with your brother on the same team, share a locker room with him, get to see him also succeed? I know we're talking about that before the broadcast as well.
Of course, it's really exciting. It's an experience that a lot of people don't get to experience in the nation, whether it be baseball, football, whatever it is in sports, especially at this level. It's really exciting to just be out there in the lineup with him, on the field with him, in the locker room. He teaches me a lot of things, too. It's not just one-sided, and I think it's really enjoyable, and hopefully this year we get to contribute together.
And I hope you guys have a great season. I think Dylan also has a question for you
Yes,
as well.
sir. So my question to you is, what is your ultimate goal for the baseball team this season? What kind of consistency do you want to see from the Blue Raider baseball squad in 2025?
I think you nailed it on the head. Consistency is the word we need. Not every day is going to be great, but every day's got to be, it's got to be consistent. Can't have bad days and can't have great days. You got to just be on the same line. I think that's what it was last year. You showed great spurts of some really good baseball and spurts of some really bad baseball. So if we can keep it simple, keep it consistent throughout the year, playing good all around, I think it's going to really show that when people come out to watch.
All right, looking forward to it. Make sure to join us next week for MTSU versus Duke in our homecoming game right here for Blue Raider Extra Point. But for all of us here on the Grove, for our incredible entire staff, for Evan Snyder, Brett Walker, and our guest picker, Eston Snyder, I am Dylan Simmons saying so long. And remember to always have an electric night.
Go Blue.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. When you see the happy face on our truck.